What is a dead giveaway that someone is an only child? The way they express care for others is distant. Even in some of the most intimate ways. Be it with friends or partners. In my experience there's a line. They're not as used to being around others in the way people with siblings are. They have lots of walls. Not necessarily in a self-preservation way, but they never had someone to just look at and bond with. They're either quiet and lonely or loud and lonely. A little selfish when they don't mean to be. It's not that they don't care about others' feelings, they just didn't grow up having to be aware of them. Sharing things, space or feelings. In my personal experience I used to get really annoyed when people used or touched my stuff. Like if my friends come over, I get a little panicked when they start touching things. I enjoy being alone in my house. If someone is in the same room as I am when I'm trying to relax, then one of us must leave. And don't even get me started on sharing feelings. Nobody has to ever see me weak or struggling or I will probably spontaneously combust. You either deal with stuff on your own, period. From personal experience, food habits. Like buying snacks to store at home and fully expecting them to not have been touched when you're gone, or eating slower at the dinner table because you're not fighting over the good food. As a teen, on the rare occasion my dad would steal a snack I got for myself I'd freak out. Whereas my friends with siblings just resign themselves to the fate of snacks inevitably disappearing. My mom eats super fast at meals, and she contributes largely to growing up with siblings. They can get shit done without asking for help. Example: I've had people calling me to assist them in making the bed because they needed somebody to hold the other corner of the sheet. Dude, this is not a two-people job. I was doing something else and you require assistance with a piece of cotton? Same goes for putting together furniture. Takes two people to assemble. Sure. It takes two people to assemble unless they're an only child, then it just takes the one. I'm old so don't know what kind of car radios you have, but I had old school buttons and settings. My only child friend would instantly change my radio station to her favorite station without asking when I'd pick her up for teenage shenanigans. We had very different musical tastes. She was used to controlling the music in her mother's car. So they instantly change the music or movie to what they want without asking you if you are okay with it. As an only child with an only child friend, I'd say only children tend to not have lots of acquaintance friends nor the desire to make new ones. I don't have 20 folks I'd consider friends, I have 5 that I've known for 20 years that I'd do anything for and struggle to be friendly with people that aren't that way. It's too personal for normal folk to be friends with me, and primarily only children seem to get it and be cool with it. I lived with a few only children. The thing I noticed was that I and other roommates who had siblings felt it was important to keep things even between everyone in the apartment, like equal access to space, equal payments, etc. This was important growing up with siblings as it minimized conflict. The only children didn't view this as important at all and were more inclined to advocate for what they wanted, even if it created inequality. I am an only child. I've noticed I tend to make a lot of life choices on my own and don't seek out a lot of advice or ask for help when I could definitely use it. In fact, I have been pretty deep in tough situations when I finally have the realization that there are people and resources I can utilize. It's not so much I'm worried about asking for help, more like it doesn't even register in my brain that there is help outside of myself. Really unique relationships with parents. They usually have a very rigid idea and perception their parents. For example, I have to call my mom every day or else she'll worry, or my dad is always right about it. I guess when you have siblings there's more diversity in how to perceive your parents and their actions. But with only children they seem to lack that holistic perspective. Maybe not a dead giveaway, but a good indicator is an inability to comprehend no as an answer without being given a convincing justification. One of the most empowering things I learned when I was younger is that no is often well the answer one needs to give. Can I borrow $20? No. Why not? I saw a bunch of cash in your wallet. Because I said no. Answer complete. Honestly nothing. I've met some really great people who are only children and I've met some siblings who are horrible. I'm NC with my younger sibling because he's a horrible person. I also know some siblings who have amazing bonds. I feel like this whole idea that being an only child versus having siblings makes you so different is pretty unreliable. Interesting read as an only child. Maybe myself and others who I know are only children were raised differently, but I don't really see the lack of social skills and being unable to share things. From talking to others, People have noted I'm pretty comfortable being alone or being in silence, which I thought was interesting. My BF is an only child, and it was his confusion at how I can be mad at my sister, who is also my roommate, 1 minute and turn around and get ice cream or go see a movie together. He grew up with a bunch of cousins around his age, but it was the quick turnaround of "I'm so mad at you" to "I wanna hang out, let's do something." I am an only child. When I was younger, before having kids, I think I was a bit more selfish. I was shy too. I think I matured faster because I was treated like a miniature adult. My parents discussed finances in front of me and other things I shielded my own kids from. Now, people are generally surprised I'm an only child. Not here to offer an answer, but as someone who always wanted multiple children and found out I likely won't be able to have more outside my daughter, this is very comforting to read. I worried she might feel like she's missing out, but reading the comments from only children here, it doesn't seem that way. Thank you all. A really strong bond with their parents. I have a brother, but only dated only child women throughout my life, and I noticed that there tend to be way more friends with their parents than siblings does. It's like my brother were always my partner during childhood, adolescence, into my XGF, it was your dad or mom. Apart from the comfortable to be alone part that everyone has posted, I don't need a huge circle of friends. Wife and I have a small group of very close friends, but I know people who have to constantly surround themselves with people and never seem to have any downtime. Looks fucking exhausting. I am an only child. I hate sharing. If you wanted some cake, order yours, do not eat my cake. Yes, I'm spoiled, so what? I will not borrow your things if I can just buy my own. I don't understand other people who have siblings who will ask to borrow and not return my things. It's called stealing. This is a silly one. But taking ridiculous large scoops out of shared dips, condiments, etc. My husband, only child, will put half a bowl of hummus on a carrot without a second thought, or will use all of the ketchup in a couple scoops with no concern of leaving any for me. Drives me nuts. They never wore hand-me-downs. They say things like "as an only child." Editoof. By that I meant that it was an indicator that someone was more likely to be an only child. I did not say all only children have that in common. You can stop telling me you guys have clothes, I get it. As an only child, I've been yelled at by multiple friends for wandering off alone, especially in grocery stores, without telling anyone where I'm going. And also my automatic backseat of a car position is legs out across the seats. Those are the only differences I ever notice. They typically seek out quieter spaces when they're at a spot that is getting too loud. Tend to prefer more intimate hangouts, like chilling in a friend's basement or having dinner at a quiet restaurant, rather than clubbing or going to big parties. At least in my experience. Being confused when you talk fondly about being absolute assholes to each other. Hey, you remember that time I kicked you in the nuts for no reason? Yeah, that was great. I got to hold it over you for like a month afterward and mess with you as much as I wanted. This is mostly an example about authors, but the way they write siblings. If they have them greet each other like "hey sis" or something like that, they're an only child. Real siblings yell "hey dipshit" and rip out their siblings' kidneys. There is no dead giveaway. There may be certain aspects which may become clear in context, but the idea that you can spot an only child is flawed because everybody is different and many of us have divergent relationships with our families. They think they are the center of the world. I lived with someone for a year in college who was an only child and everything had to be his way. And it was like he couldn't understand that anyone else would want it any other way than his. I can't tell for adults, but when it's one of my kids' friends, the kid who ends up trying to hang out with the adults and gets overwhelmed by being in a group of kids has been an only child 100 of the time in my experience. They think everyone is interested in hearing their thoughts and ideas. Gotta have a sibling tell you no one gives a shit and to shut up a few hundred times before you truly realize that most of the time, no one gives a shit. I would like to say that I and my cousin are both only children. We were raised very differently. She cares about money, status, and having her way. I just want everyone to be happy. And I'll give you the shirt off my back. I hate being an only child as an adult. I don't really care that I was a main focus when I was a kid. If I don't have a partner, I'm basically fucked emotionally and have no support when my parents inevitably become ill. Not knowing how it is to babysit a sibling. My mother is an only child and she says it's normal to babysit siblings and why I don't want to do that. Bruh, you're an only child, OFC, you don't know how it feels. Write some books about siblings unrealistically. Example. Hey lil bro, morning sis. How it should go. Big sister slaps little brother on the back of the head, brother screams for their mom, sister runs. As an only child, I've noticed that I find it unusual to share things with others. I'm by no means selfish, it's just a very uncommon thing for me and I feel weird when sharing anything, but I never object. The usual tells are them being extremely involved with their parents or a parent and main character syndrome. I very rarely asked if someone has siblings and been told yes once I've noticed these signs. Myself being an only child, I'm very comfortable in complete silence, alone or around others, as well as being comfortable with my own company, hiking, movies, vacations, it's all very lovely. As an only child I'll say this. I'm outgoing, but have a limited social battery, and when it's discharged, I peace out to smoke some weed, watch a movie, and sleep until I recharge. They eat slow, peacefully, I, on the other hand, inhale my food cue years of being terrified that my brother will snatch my sandwich away after finishing his in microseconds. We loners are really introverted, some of us daydream a lot too. You have to use your imagination a lot when you spend your whole childhood playing alone in your house. For the 1000 people who try to be funny saying no siblings, I fucking hate people who don't address the question properly and give smug irritating answers. Grow up, play a board game with them and they get upset when they lose. Also, if they don't want to do something everyone else wants to do, they'll take their ball and go home. Always weirds me out when people have games, consoles, collectibles, etc. from their childhood. All of my stuff was either handed down to, broken, or lost by siblings. They don't fight as much. I went to only child house once, it looked very nice and I was invited to dinner. They weren't wealthy, the family was respectful. Only child here. As a kid, I couldn't relate to other children. Their behavior was completely foreign to me. Even now that I'm old, most people seem odd,